So, my landlord is now a Therizinosaurus. The scratching at the door could only be one person, my landlord Terry. I call him Terry because there's no way my mouth and vocal cords could come up with the right sounds to pronounce what he actually calls himself. Because Terry is a Therizinosaurus. I opened the door. Hey Terry, what's up? I know it sounds absolutely ludicrous even to me, who is living in this world where this is my reality. I suppose it wouldn't be so crazy to me if this is how it had always been. But the asshole scientists fucked up royally when they ended up being successful in their attempts to manipulate time. What they ended up doing is ripping time in a way that brought some creatures forward, and it is believed sent some creatures back, with a one-to-one exchange. I really don't understand the science of it, being a violinist who struggled in every science class I ever took, but suffice it to say, we now share our time with the inhabitants of the late Cretaceous period. The bit that cannot be explained by our scientists is that the animals that moved forward in time also seem to fuse with, while taking the place of, the beings sent back. So Terry used to be Frank, the landlord of this building. Frank no longer exists, and Terry has been trying to make do with being a 13-foot-tall Therizinosaurus, living in an apartment with 10-foot ceilings and 8-foot doorways. Asterisk grunting squawking sounds asterisk. Oh yeah? What kind of favor? Asterisk more grunting squawking sounds asterisk. Oh, I suppose I could help you out today, sure. The interesting thing about the exchange of beings is that Terry has no memory of Frank as a person, but he seems to know everything Frank knew about being a landlord. He also thinks in English, but cannot make the right sounds to speak it, so it's almost impossible for anyone to understand anything Terry is saying. I seem to have some amazing gift for hearing it as clearly as someone speaking English with an accent. For this reason, Terry has asked me to act as translator as he speaks to some of the residents today. First up, Randy Beeman, apartment G2. Terry asks that I knock while he stands to the side, because it seems nobody will open the door to him. Sigh. Asterisk knock knock asterisk. The door opens after the sounds of footsteps and a few moments pass. Hey Dylan. Hey Randy. I'm here helping out Terry with some landlord stuff. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna translate for him. Randy went a little pale, and then moved forward enough into the doorframe to see Terry standing to the side, taking up the entire hallway. I want nothing to do with that fucking murder chicken, Dylan. Come on, man. He's the landlord. The building management company sanctioned it months ago. They're leaving the swaps where they appeared until something can be done to swap them back, if that's even possible. It's not Terry's fault he's in this situation. Plus, he can understand you, man. He speaks English. Imagine if it had happened to you. Randy just stood there, obstinate. Well, what does it want? Asterisk grunting squawking sounds asterisk. He wants to let you know that he contacted someone about your leak, and the plumber will be coming by to fix it on Tuesday between 9 and 11. Randy looks a little abashed. Oh, well, good. See? He's still getting shit done. Give him a chance, man. Randy just grumbled and closed the door. I'm sorry, Terry. I'm sure you get that shit all the time. Terry shrugged. Murder Chicken was the offensive nickname that had been given to the Therizinosaurus swaps. It seemed a little dangerous to me to coin such a nickname when there had actually been some violence when the swaps first happened. Any swap that had happened with any violence-inclined humans went on murder sprees and had to be taken down. The first month after the time tear was pure chaos, and it took a while for people to realize that the swaps were intelligent and allow any that were peaceful to continue the life of the person they had replaced, depending on the circumstances. Obviously, the size and anatomy of these swaps were not well suited to every job, and any that replaced spouses and roommates were often promptly kicked out. The world is still recovering from so much loss and change. I've adapted to it a lot easier than most others. I've always just tried to roll with the punches when anything happens. We spent the next few hours visiting other apartments with equally warm welcomes. When we were done, I invited Terry in for a beer. He had to sit on the floor, and there was a little difficulty getting his massive hands wrapped around the beer, but we sat peaceably for a while and drank our beer while listening to some Mozart. I heard my phone go off, but I ignored it. I asked Terry if he'd thought about what he wanted to do long-term, if he wanted to continue to try and be a landlord, or if he wanted to try to live in a way more suited to his body, rather than his mind. Terry sat thinking when suddenly we heard screaming coming from outside. A lot of it. I stood and looked out the window. People were running everywhere, driving like maniacs, screaming and shouting. Clearly something had happened. I recalled that my phone had gone off and went to see what it said. I looked down at my phone, read the text, and my mind went blank, seeing nothing. I stood and stared, willing the words to make sense. Terry asked me what was wrong, but it took him shouting at me for it to register. Huh? Asterisk grunting squawking asterisk. It looks like you're not going to have to worry about what to do with your future anymore, Terry. The meteor that was supposed to have hit during your time seems to have been part of the swap. They just didn't tell us about it until now. We have hours until it hits." Terry sat back down on the ground and just stared blankly. I handed him another beer, got one for myself, and sat back down on the couch. My parents were dead. My best friend was probably rushing to be with his wife and kids. I had nobody to contact. I turned up the music to drown out the screaming outside and waited for the end of the world. Fucking asshole scientists.